Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Hello. I hope you're well. I hope you can see a photo of me, Gareth Jones. I've certainly aged considerably, I would say, since that photo was taken, particularly over the past year or so. But anyway, less about me. Welcome to the Railbookers webinar, Italy by Train, our 5 most popular holidays. Start a little bit early. What I'd like to do is, if you would be so kind, on the right-hand side in the control panel, there should be a little area that says questions. If you'd be kind enough just to pop a note in there, say hello, let me know your name and where you're tuning in from, please, because it'd be great to know whereabouts you are in the UK or further afield. But also, more importantly, just to make sure you can all hear me and see the screen okay. I've had some horrible problems in the past, wittering onto myself until a kind soul kind of pops a question in there 20 minutes down the line saying, should we be able to hear something or see something by now? But anyway, we had people as far as afield as the Orkney Isles on this morning. So yeah, really venturing far away, people showing a great interest, absolutely, particularly since yesterday's announcement of being able to travel perhaps in the second half of this year. I'm in York myself at the moment, so it's warmed up a little since the past few days, but it's still a little chilly. Roger in Wolverhampton, first on the board. Thanks very much, Roger. Good to hear from you. Oh, wonderful. Lots of you tuning in now. Joan in Kent, wonderful, good stuff. Well, good. I'm glad everything's working. Let's crack on, shall we? So, first thing I want to draw your attention to is the world's missed you. £500 per couple saving we've got at the moment. Okay, limited time saving. It's per couple. If you're traveling independently, £250 saving. This is great because you can apply it to a holiday in 2 years' time, for example. We're guaranteeing package prices 2 years in advance. We've done that. That's part of our operations, really. Okay, so you can apply that to a holiday in 2022 or 2023. Okay, but I said limited time saving. Now, if you're familiar with Railbookers already, I'm very sorry. The next 2 or 3 minutes you've probably heard before and you know. But if you're new to Railbookers, I really think it's good just to get a better understanding of who we are, what we do, because it's quite a unique service compared to other operators such as ourselves. Okay, so you would hope that with a name like Railbookers, we're kind of experts in the world of rail, and we are. We know rail from the best routes to the best times to ensure that you have the best holiday. Okay. Now, granted, it's very difficult to travel anywhere at the moment. Yes, absolutely. But put yourself in the world 6 months further down the line when we can go at any time, anywhere. We can do that. So up until 2 days before departure, we can get everything confirmed, all the travel documentation to you and everything in place for you to depart. On the other end of that, though, as mentioned already, we can kind of guarantee prices and get your booking confirmed 2 years in advance. So if it's a bucket list trip, perhaps across Canada or the US or on the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express, for example, we can book those 2 years in advance. A small deposit at this stage secures the place, and then the remaining balance isn't due until 3 months prior. Maximum flexibility, we'll look at that a little bit as well, but this is the key bit to get across, I think. Any destination, any time, for any length of time. Simply put, if the train goes there, so do we. We have over 3,000 different holidays on our website. Okay, you can chop them and change them as much as you like within certain things. If the train doesn't go that day, sadly, we can't make it, but there's very few trains that don't go every day, of course. Hotel-wise, so we've got a range of hotels in all the major destinations, range from 3-star to 5-star. Of course, you can upgrade the train travel to first class or beyond and second class for some. If you want to spend an extra night in one destination, then we can do that. If you need to get somewhere, you have a holiday home perhaps, or you've rented some accommodation somewhere, we can do that, leave you there for a couple of weeks and then pick it up, get you back as well. Okay. We've got the largest rail holiday selection, so different types of holidays really. Luxury rail experience, a post-river cruise add-on, so say going to Budapest, for example, for a Danube river cruise over Christmas, we can take care of that for you. A multi-country journey, a multi-city trip, or a custom rail itinerary designed from scratch. We have it all. No rail trip is too complicated for us. We can take care of it in those. Okay. I can see lots of questions coming in. Brilliant. Please do keep them coming in, and we'll certainly have 5 minutes at the end just to run through any questions, okay? But keep them coming in. But Joan, really good question. So I'd just like to pick on Joan's question is there a roadmap similar to ours in Italy? So the announcements yesterday, not that I know of, but I can see it in the not too distant future, countries cottoning on and doing the same thing. Now I know there's discussions with the Greek tourist minister in the UK to allow for kind of open access to Greece for summer holidays and things like that. But no announcements in Italy as yet. But I'm pretty sure we're hearing something along the same lines in the not too distant future. See, these destinations rely so much on tourism in the world of travel. Okay. Anyway, maximum flexibility offer. So any bookings made from now until the end of March are covered by this. You have the ability to change the travel date or postpone the holiday up to 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change or cancellation fees. So there's no charge for us if you have to change your date, okay, up to 5 days prior. When we do get back traveling again and the world opens up, something good to bear in mind is wherever you are in the world on a Railbookers holiday, you can get through to one of the team, okay? As mentioned, I'm in York, but the rest of the team are down in London. Everyone's working from home, of course, but 2 offices in the US, one just north of Boston in Beverly, Massachusetts, one just south of Los Angeles in Laguna Hills. We've got an office in Toronto, and we have an office in Sydney, Australia. So wherever you are in the world on a Railbookers holiday, you'll have an emergency number that you can call at any time of the day, get through to any of the team, and they'll be able to assist you with any problems or any questions that might arise, okay? It's just a few of the direct rail partners we have around in Europe and North America. So what I mean by direct rail partnerships, if we have direct booking systems direct between them and Railbookers, we have access to the fares before they're made available to the public, and with the timetables as well as schedules. It's not just the domestic rail operators either. Of course, it's things like the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express, Rocky Mountaineer, those private trains as well. Now, hopefully, we won't have to talk about this for much longer either, but it's good to know what it looks like traveling by train at the moment. How are rail operators maintaining a safe environment? Well, of course, everyone's wearing a mask on the trains, passengers and staff, and in the platforms. Stopping the sale of food and drink on board trains. It depends where you are. So in Germany and Eastern Europe, for example, the restaurant cars are still open. You can still generally get a cooked meal there. On the Glacier Express in Switzerland, you can still order a cooked lunch and have it served to your seat. That's fine. Elsewhere, you might be able to get a coffee, but not the sort of high level of service we had previously. A quick side note here that I always like to mention as well is that something to always bear in mind is there's not the restrictions traveling by train as there is when flying. So you can take a picnic with you on board, take some sandwiches. The Marks and Spencers at the Eurostar terminal at St Pancras is now open. You can pop in there, get some sandwiches, crisps, a bottle of wine perhaps, or a long journey through France on the TGV. Why not? You're welcome to do that. Not the most attractive sight, trying to eat a sandwich with a mask on, of course, but further down the line, fingers crossed, no masks. Nothing more enjoyable. Changing seat configuration and allocation on board to allow for social distancing. Again, fingers crossed we'll see it diminish. Interestingly enough, in France, the unions, the power they have managed to convince the French government to allow them to run a few TGVs at 100% capacity. In Italy, they tried to do the same, but the government said no. So it's still around about sort of 70% capacity for trains in Italy. What is fairly prevalent, though, is the one-way system. So you board the train in one door at the end of the carriage, and you get off the train at the other door at the other end of the carriage. Quite straightforward, really. There you go. Increased cleaning and sanitation. So cleaners on board the train as it's going along, not just at the start and end of the journey, and contactless ticket control. So you have a e-ticket on your phone or your tablet. We can always print off that voucher for you anyway. I quite like having a ticket in my hand or a bit of paper as such, and no problem. I was paranoid about my phone running out of batteries or something. So you're going to have both. Both are accepted. Okay. Shall we have a look at some holidays and some amazing destinations, shall we? Let's head to Italy. Let's go. So the Amalfi coast via the Alps. Via the Alps is a route, as it sounds, via the Alps. We put together many years ago in terms of getting to Italy. It's this wonderfully scenic route. So Eurostar from London to Paris, Paris to Geneva, TGV, high speeds. You get to Geneva around about 6, 7 in the evening. 4-star hotel just over the road, the Hotel Cornavin. Brilliant location for a one-night stay. Great hotel. Drop your bags off, head down to the lakefront, the old town in Geneva. Very pretty, lots of nice restaurants. Lovely evening. Following morning, train leaves around about 7:30, so it's quite an early start. So great, you've got the hotel just over the road. And it's a journey through the Simplon Pass. We'll have a look at an image in a bit, but the Simplon Pass, it's where the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express got its name from, the Simplon bit, the wonderful pass through the southern Alps. Also pass through some amazing lakes as well. Quick change of trains in Milan, and then straight down to Florence, spend the evening in Florence. Next morning, wake up. 2-hour journey to Naples. Now, Naples, there's a regional train from Naples to Sorrento. Can't buy tickets for that train anywhere apart from there. So you purchase tickets locally there. It's only about €5. If you prefer, because that train is not the best quality train, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a regional rattler, we like to call them. We can sort of private car out, so there's somebody waiting for you when your train arrives into Naples and drives you to your hotel in Sorrento. You know, it's much more direct, much more comfortable. You're guaranteed air conditioning then as well, whereas on the car, often the trains, the air conditioning isn't working. Anyway, 4 nights in Sorrento. 4 nights in Sorrento, wonderful. We do have other partners, hotel partners, in more remote locations around the Amalfi Peninsula if you are looking for something a bit more remote, shall we say. But Sorrento, beautiful town, very much the kind of epicenter of activities. Included in the holiday, you've got a trip to Pompeii and Herculaneum, small group, so we're talking kind of up to 15 people, and out to Capri for a trip to the Blue Grotto as well. The holiday includes a flight back from Naples, so you take the train back to Naples, or you get the transfer, which we can provide. Flight to any airport in the UK, so you don't have to fly to London. Okay, all that, so the train travel, the hotel accommodation, including breakfast, the sightseeing experiences mentioned as well, reservations on the trains that can be reserved, and the flight, all for just under £1,600 per person, based on 2 people sharing. Okay. Now, this is an image that one of us, wasn't me, one of our staff took on the journey from Geneva to Milan via the Simplon Pass. That's Lake Maggiore. So you actually come through this amazing kind of Alpine Pass, look down, skirt around Lake Maggiore, beautiful views of Lake Madre and Alobella, I think those islands are called, if I remember correctly. You change in Milan here for the train to Florence and on to Naples, but the train actually carries on to Venice. So it's direct train from Geneva to Venice. Before you get into Venice, around about 45 minutes before, you skirt around Lake Garda as well. So on that journey, Geneva to Venice, you got an amazing Alpine Pass and 2 amazing lakes that the train passes by. That's a beautifully scenic journey. As a night in Geneva, and it's just the one night now. Geneva often gets overlooked compared to a lot of destinations in Switzerland. Of course, the mountains, Switzerland, Geneva, a bit of a financial hub, but it's very pretty. It's got a really lovely old town. It's a phrase we use a lot for places, but it really does. Very nice old town down by the lake as well. There is the option, rather than staying in Geneva, you could change a holiday to take a train from Paris to Lausanne, which is only about 20 minutes further round the lake. Lausanne is also on that train line to Milan and Venice as well, and a little quieter as well. Not that Geneva is horrendously busy, as said, you're right by the station, but you've got the option there. Again, it's that flexibility of how we offer our holidays. And I wish we had a better image of Capri. I really do. It's quite blurry, but I mean, you get the idea. The big blue sea, big, clear, beautiful blue skies and the big sun. There's some great activities here mentioned. So you do get the small group tour up to Pompeii, also out to Capri from Sorrento as well. Other such great things you could do here is kind of learn the art of limoncello making with fresh lemons from the trees. An evening cruise, enjoying a glass of Prosecco or something as the sun goes down and cruising around the Amalfi Peninsula. Very special part of the world, and certainly a great place to kind of celebrate being able to travel again, I'd say. Now, next, probably the most popular combination of destinations that by train, Venice, Florence, and Rome. The train network in Italy is fantastic. It really is. High-speed, modern trains, lots of space on board, lots of space for luggage. They recognise that international tourism is so important to them, so they made a concerted effort to ensure there's good luggage space. This holiday is a grand holiday. What I mean by that is anything with grand, it basically means that you've got first class travel included. All the train travel is first class, okay? What do you get with first class? Well, it depends what train you're on. If you're on the Eurostar from London to Paris, you'll get a meal and drinks. You'll be in what's called standard premier. That's their first class meal, decent meal, glass of wine, nice service. Paris to Geneva and the trains in Italy, there's no meal included or drinks, but much bigger seats, much more leg room, much more luggage space, as mentioned. Okay. Here we're taking the route out via the Alps again. You see from Geneva direct to Venice. Leaves Geneva around about 7:38, gets to Venice around about 3:30. So there's a buffet car on board again, but pick provisions up from Geneva. 2 nights in each, Venice, Florence, and Rome. In Venice, you've got the obligatory gondola ride. If you've been to Venice before, I'm sure you'd agree, there's no other place like it on earth. It's unbelievably beautiful. But I think key to really understanding the history of Venice as well, but the visit to the Doge's Palace and St. Mark's Basilica are really important as well. That way you get a real understanding of the history of the Venetian Republic and its power and riches. Amazing. In Florence, we've got included the small group tour of the Uffizi Gallery and a walking tour to get a real understanding of the history of the Medici family and the buildings, etc. And in Rome, you've got a small group skip the line tour of the Vatican museums and Sistine Chapel and the Roman Forum and the Colosseum half-day walking tour as well. So all those are on a small group basis. So you could be traveling in a group for up to 16 people. But there's always the option to upgrade as well. Hotels have said that basically the 4-star hotels in each destination for that holiday, you've got the option to upgrade. I mean, this is a suite at the Siena Centurion Palace in Venice. See a lovely fireplace, but you can see out the window there, it's on the Grand Canal. The Centurion Palace is one of the few hotels that actually has a restaurant seating area on the Grand Canal itself. An amazing location, truly breathtaking. Just to wake up with the views on the Grand Canal will be something else as well. The Uffizi Gallery tour, I said it is small group, but we can organise a private tour if you prefer to do it independently as well. And the Vatican Museum and the Sistine Chapel. We can actually offer what's great, a lovely experience is breakfast in the Vatican Museum. So you picked up from your hotel, it's quite an early start, 7:15, taken to the Vatican Museum before the doors open. You have breakfast inside, and then you've got access to everything before the rest of it opens to the rest of the public. And that's a truly amazing experience, having that sort of freedom in the Sistine Chapel. Next, up to the lake, so Florence and Lake Como, again via the Alps. 2 nights in Como. It's only kind of 45-minute journey from Milan, and 2 nights in Florence. A flight back from Pisa. There's more flights from Pisa than there are to Florence, but if you'd rather fly back from Florence, we can do that again, completely flexible. 2 nights in each, private walking tour of Como and a skip the line tour of the Accademia Gallery in Florence to see the real David statue. There's hundreds of replicas actually outside in Florence as well, but it's amazing to go into the Accademia and see the real one. Lake Como, of course, legendary. Lake Como is kind of glitz and glamour, but the town itself is beautiful with rich history in silk producing, I believe. So the amazing kind of little artist shops, etc. as well, but quite easily do a nice little boat trip out to see Bellagio, also a boat cruise round. We've got some nice hotel partners dotted around the lake, not just in Como itself. And as I said, the walking tour in Florence, it's so walkable, Florence. It's a very compact city centre, but having the walking tour, I've been there a few times and I've never been on a walking tour myself, but I'm always kind of, you go back and you read the history of the buildings you've seen and stuff like that. But there's no better experience to have somebody there telling you the history of the buildings, etc. And there's this wonderful story of there being a pathway through all the buildings, so you don't actually come out at any point onto the outside of a building, but there's a pathway all the way over the Ponte Vecchio up to the palace on the other side from the Uffizi Gallery, which I find amazing. One day I'd love to do it. And in Florence, though, you can stay at the Villa San Michele, which is an amazing hotel, 5-star property in the hills, just about 5-minute drive outside of Florence itself. It's got a regular shuttle running to and from the city, so you can always pop into the city for the day. As I said, it's quite compact, so during the high season, it can get quite busy. But a better way to relax and come out to the Villa Michele in the evening and enjoy looking over the skyline of Florence, admiring the sun going down over the Tuscan hills. Beautiful. Now, I know we mentioned it's all about Italy, but when we're talking about Italy, we do have to talk about Switzerland as well when it comes to trains, because there's such a good combination, obviously geographically, but there's numerous, well, not that many, but numerous ways to come between the two by train. This is my favorite one in this, okay? So again, grand Italian lakes and Swiss mountains, grand. It's all in first class. It's nearly 3 weeks. It's a big old holiday, this one. Fly to Rome, so start in Rome, a couple of nights there again with the sightseeing experiences, and then up to Lake Maggiore, 2 nights in Stresa in Lake Maggiore, 2 nights in Como, and 2 nights in Sirmione on Lake Garda. Head back to Milan for a night, but then you've got one of the best journeys in the world on the Bernina Express from Tirano to San Moritz. A night by the lake in San Moritz as well. And then a full day traveling on the Glacier Express, the full length of the Glacier Express from San Moritz to Zermatt. You've got 2 nights in Zermatt, and after that you've got 2 nights in Interlaken in each. So Zermatt, you've got a day trip on the Gornergrat Railway, which is a fantastic cogwheel open railway going to the top of the Gornergrat Plateau. Half an hour to get to the top. You go through these beautiful pine forests, amazing kind of fragrant smell of pine trees as you're going through it. You get to the top, you've got the best view of the Matterhorn mountain and around about, I think it's 10 or 12 mountains over 3,000 feet above sea level. It's a huge, colossal kind of proper serious Alps. But up here you've got some great little walks as well, not too heavy going. I mean, you're fairly high up, but you get the chance to see some ibex, marmots running wild, beautiful, really nice. But Interlaken, that's where you've got the really dramatic mountain railway, the Jungfrau mountain railway, the highest railway station in Europe. Here, the train actually goes through the Eiger mountain and get to the top. When you're at the top, on a clear day, you've got a beautiful view of the Europe's biggest glacier in front of you. On a clear day, you can see as far as France and Germany and Italy. Amazing. And what's happened is, beginning of this year, they opened up the Eiger Express, which is now part of that day trip. So you kind of to get to the top, you take 3 different trains, each increasing in gradient. It's very steep going through the mountain. But then coming down, you can take this wonderful a gondola, or a not a gondola. My mind's gone blank. Cable car, gondola. It's like a small gondola. For part of the journey down to Grindelwald, have a wander around Grindelwald and stuff like that. But it's just a lovely. The cable car passes by the face of the Eiger mountain. Very, very dramatic, but wonderfully scenic. And after that, up to Zurich for a night before you fly back. It's just under £3,300 per person, but again, all in first class travel where possible. So things like the Jungfrau and the Gornergrat are only in standard class. 15 nights accommodation at amazing destinations, absolutely amazing destinations. On Lake Maggiore, you stay in Stresa. Ernest Hemingway used to live in, spent a lot of time in Stresa as well. You've got some nice boat trips out to those islands I mentioned before, Isla Madre and Isla Bella. Some beautiful gardens out there, kind of flocks of parakeets live out there as well. If you're feeling adventurous, you could take the Lago Maggiore Express day trip, which is an amazing combination of a lake cruise to the top of Lake Maggiore, a place called Locarno in Switzerland. In Locarno, you change onto the Centro Valley Railway, one of the lesser known scenic trains in Switzerland. Centro Valley, 100 valleys. Amazing scenery, beautiful scenery. Some of these trains are actually triangular, very strange trains, but amazingly scenic. And then from that goes to Domodossola. Domodossola, you take the train back to Stresa. So it's a full day trip, but you're out on the lake. You get one of the most scenic journeys in Switzerland, and you get the night in Stresa as well. But yeah, amazing destination. And Lake Garda, sorry, so you're based in Sirmione. This is not an image of Sirmione. Sirmione is very similar to this. This is not an image. You can tell because there's big mountains in the background. So this is to the north of Lake Garda in the Alps. Sirmione is on the southern shores of Lake Garda. It's not mountainous. Sirmione is like you look at a map and it's like a very, very thin peninsula that sticks into the lake. Right at the end is where you stay. You have to walk through I always forget the name of it. A drawbridge. You walk over a drawbridge to get into the old city itself. It's very much like that, where there's a big tower and a castle, old fortified town at the end of the peninsula. Maria Callas used to have a villa up here. There's the Roman ruins of Catullus's villa up here. It's really lovely to take a little boat trip around the peninsula as well, because you see lots of thermal bubbles bubbling up from the lake bed as well. They smell a bit sulphurish, but Sirmione, the town itself, the village, really is beautiful. It really is. Just to enjoy the climate and the Italian hospitality. If you wanted, there's a few beaches dotted around a bit further around the lake as well, so you can actually swim in Lake Garda as well. But as I mentioned, Switzerland. So yeah, the Benina Express, which is the train that goes between Switzerland and Italy. My favorite journey in the world. Met my wife on the train. I have to say it, but it's breathtakingly scenic as well. You go from heading north, as you do here, the palm tree lined valley in Tirano, northern Italy, up to Sirmione, some of the biggest mountains in the Alps. So from palm trees up to snow covered alpine bliss, beautiful green lakes, etc. It's amazing. The Glacier Express, the slowest express train in the world as it markets itself, is also amazing, as you can see. So it's got 3 classes of travel. Second class, very comfortable, still get panoramic windows, tables for 4 and tables for 2. First class, very comfortable, panoramic windows, tables for 2 and 4. Excellence class, which is this, where there's just the tables for 2 opposite one another. There's only 22 seats in each carriage. There's 1 carriage per train, and you have to do the full length. So Glacier, San Moritz to Zermatt or Zermatt to San Moritz. It's amazing. It really is the most sought after train seats in Europe, if not the world. As you can see, they feed you. You get 4-course lunch, wines, local wines matching, a Swiss cheese board. There's actually behind where this image has been taken, there's a bar, a private exclusive bar for Glacier Express Excellence class passengers. It's an 8.5-hour journey, so it's a full day on the train, and enjoy it with an amazing lunch plus more nibbles further down the line as well. Every passenger gets a tablet or an iPad to tells you about the journey and the scenery and things. Yeah, a really special day it's a special day on the train, full stop, but to make it extra special, the Excellence class really would make it a very special day indeed. And as you can see from the images there, the outside, the scenery, it warrants the name Glacier Express. The scenery it goes through. It's the only train that actually does the full length of this line. Yeah, something else. Really is absolutely amazing. And it doesn't run. There's a little window where it doesn't run just due to the weather and having to clear the track between middle of October and middle of December. So there's no Glacier Express in November, but very special. And finally, it wouldn't be a talk about train trips to Italy without talking about the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express, really, would it? But this is quite interesting because obviously the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express, London-Venice, they've actually announced a few different routes now this year and next year, which is going to be really interesting. Those routes don't go to London or start in London. They start in Venice, but they go from Venice to Rome, Rome to Florence, and Florence to Paris. So you're actually on the train for a short amount of time, but you still get the amazing sleeping on board experience, the 4-course dinner experience on board, the actual Venice Simplon-Orient-Express experience. It's just you don't have to get off the train as you would do going to London or from London, go on the coach that goes through the tunnel and then get onto another train to go to London. And the price is noticeably better, to be honest with you as well. So here you've got 7 nights in total, 2 nights Rome, 2 nights Florence, a night on the VSOE, and 2 nights in Paris. And the VSOE, the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express overnight dinner, 4-course dinner overnight as well, plus breakfast in your cabin. The Colosseum and Roman Forum tour in Rome, the Accademia Gallery, and full Florence Duomo trip in Florence. You have to go up into the huge great dome of the cathedral as well. And the Uffizi tour in Paris, you've got a 3-day pass as well. So Paris, you get to choose what you want to do when you're there. You can use it for the Musée d'Orsay, the Louvre, you can use it down to Versailles, hundreds of different things, walking tours, food tours, that sort of stuff as well, but you get the freedom to choose. All for less than £3,300. Really, really good, and it's an amazing holiday. Also, you've got the flight out to Rome. You've got a transfer from the airport to your hotel in Rome included, and a transfer, so a car will pick you up on your arrival in Paris and take you to your hotel in Paris as well. As mentioned, so it's 3 amazing destinations. Rome, you've got the Colosseum small group tour. Again, if you'd rather do a private tour, we can take care of that. You can also you can learn how to be a gladiator if you want for 2 hours as well. We can take care of that for you, something unique. But the Venice Simplon-Orient-Express, there's no experience like it by train in the world, really. There really isn't. It's unique. It's very special. This is a normal twin cabin, so this is your normal accommodation as such. There's no en suites here. That's it. You see on the right-hand side of the image, there's a bit, what looks like a hinge. That is a hinge because that door opens. That opens to another twin cabin. Now, when you book a twin cabin, the door is locked. You can't open it. But you can book 2 twin cabins and have a cabin suite where those 2 cabins are together and you have the door open, a lovely seating area, lovely sleeping area separate. Anyway, on the bottom corner, bottom right-hand corner, you can see a little handle there. Now that handle opens up to a little cabinet where there's a sink, a little basin, and a little plug to plug your razor in or hairdryer maybe. But that's it. There's no other mod cons here. There's no Wi-Fi or anything. There's no showers. There's toilets at the end of the carriage. You can unwind your window a little to get a breath of fresh air as you're traveling through as well. There are the grand suites though. There's 3 of these. As you can see, they're as grand could be. They really are amazing. A double bed, so you haven't got to worry about the bunk beds. Separate seating area, mini bar. These are en suite, butler, the whole 9 yards. But the train, like any overnight train, it's a very sociable experience. Sadly, the bar car, the bar car's closed due to social distancing. Excuse me. Fingers crossed with the announcement yesterday, they'll be looking to kind of get the bar car back July, August. The train runs roughly twice a week or 3 times a week from March till the 1st of November generally. So that's the period of the year that it runs. The lounge car is open though. This is open for everybody to kind of sit down, have a drink, etc. after dinner or even before dinner or throughout the journey. The dining cars are the real kind of hidden jewels of the train, I think, really. They're a piece of history. The whole train is a piece of history, really. It's just the most unique, I don't know, piece of art deco transportation there is. They're so detailed, so beautifully detailed. And the dining cars are so very different as well. There's the Côte d'Azur, the black lacquer panels. Oh no, it's the Oriental, sorry. The Côte d'Azur is the one with the intricate glass carvings as well, but there's a completely different personality for each of them as well. Of course, the china and the whole table setup is amazing as well. The best glassware, the best china, the food, unbelievable. Of course, you could take on them kind of dining requirements, of course, take note of those. Wine chargeable, so you buy a bottle of wine on board. It's not included in the cost, but that's all right. And this gives you an idea of what the cabin looks like when it's set up for sleeping. So when you're out for dinner, there's a steward in one per carriage. He will come and take care of changing your cabin into seat sleeping. Sorry, excuse me, it's a long day. Sleeping setup. So it's kind of bunk beds. You can see it's not particularly steep. The ladder going up, very easy, very soft, very gentle, very, very comfortable. It's an amazing experience. It really is. Well, if you'd like more information on those or any more information about any of our holidays, please do head to railbookers.co.uk. It's the best place for any resources. Destinations, of course, is very good. Show you all the destinations we feature in holidays. Holiday types is quite good as well. Obviously got luxury trains in there, sleeper trains, blue trains, red trains, all sorts of different trains, just to whet your appetite and give you some inspiration in terms of where to go. We will be launching a new website in the coming weeks as well, which is very exciting, so keep an eye out for that. But I've been wittering on for a good half an hour or so now, so please let me know of any questions you might have. Please do. Helen, good point. Portugal, good point. Sorry, so yes, going back to the questions for everyone. Portugal, and my last trip before lockdown was actually to Seville. I went to Cordoba, Seville, and then I took the bus from Seville to Lisbon. It's around about a 4.5 hour bus journey, but the trains aren't particularly good crossing over between Spain and Portugal. And then I took the train up to Porto, and what a lovely journey it was. It's their only high-speed line in Portugal, really leaning train, but both Lisbon and Porto are two of my favourite places. Beautiful cities and so unique in terms of the character and personality, the food, the wine, the people, the scenery. Just love beautiful destinations. Really, really lovely. Sadly, though, the sleeper train that used to run between the French-Spanish border and Madrid to Lisbon has been withdrawn until further notice. So we're all a bit worried that it's not going to come back, which is really worrying, particularly in the light of the great work that Austrian Railways are doing for sleeper trains. But if that happens, Portugal's very, very tricky to get to by train. There's one line which comes from the north, from La Coruña, Santiago de La Coruña and Santiago de Compostela, down to Vigo, down to Porto, but that's about it. So everyone's keeping their fingers crossed here. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. Enjoy. Take care. Joanna, journey from London to Barcelona. Good question. So leave London about 9:30, get to Paris about 12:30, then leave Paris around about 2 o'clock, get to Barcelona about 8 o'clock in the evening. Really quite a scenic journey, particularly coming over the border as well between France and Spain. Get some good views of the mountains, the Pyrenees there as well. It's very pretty. Yeah, really easily done. You do change stations in Paris. So you go from Gare du Nord, where the Eurostar arrives, to Gare de Lyon. It's about 2 stops on the metro, so very easy. But we generally leave you at least an hour and a half to make the connection, so you've got time to pick up a baguette or something as well if you want to buy some lunch. Double decker, that train as well. So if you're lucky enough to get seats upstairs, you get to enjoy more of the view. It's a nice way to travel to Spain, really, because obviously Barcelona, you've got one of the highest speed lines in Europe between Barcelona and Madrid. There's regular train from Barcelona through to Seville and Cordoba. There's even one to Granada now as well. It's very exciting that the train line to Granada has opened up. So yeah, you can use it as the gateway to throughout Spain, really. Tom, good question. No, we don't take any bookings online just because that level of flexibility that we present. It's nice to be able to answer any questions and make sure if you do want to change anything, you can discuss it through. We've got a great team of travel consultants, very knowledgeable. We don't put anybody on hold really. So there's always somebody here to answer your questions. Yeah, no problem, Andrew. I did see that you joined a bit later on, so no problem at all. What we'll do later on today, I think you all should get an email. On that email, there'll be a recording of the webinar. So if you feel you missed anything at the beginning or anything, do be able to catch up there. All right, everybody, I shall take up no more of your time. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for sticking with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it entertaining as well. But have a lovely evening. Stay safe, keep well, and yes, take care, everybody. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.